Welcome back everybody! So in today's video we're going to get right into the filler work. If you guys haven't seen the previous videos where we did the metal work and a bit of the disassembly and whatnot, I'll throw links to those down in the description. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button to get notified of our next videos. Let's get to it! Alright, so we're ready to get some filler on here. Everything's been blown off. I don't like what I'm about to do here. Really. Okay, that's out of the way. Yeah, I have a Bondo product in my hand. Not a fan of Bondo products. A, I hate when people call body filler Bondo. B, it's Bondo. It sucks. However, this is just our fiberglass filler. It'll do the trick for what we want here. Just sort of filling some of these low spots in between the where we were pulling, as well as potentially filling any small pinholes that I might have missed welding. I think I got everything, but sometimes it's just hard to tell. So we'll put a thin skim of this on there, DA it off, and then we'll go into using a proper body filler product. So for my mixing board, I really like these well, not reusable, but these disposable sheets. So this one I just got on Amazon. I think it's 25 bucks. I have used another one at my last shop called the Onion Board. I don't know what those go for. I think 50 or 60 bucks, but yeah, this is on Amazon. I think there's 100 sheets on here for 25 bucks. Makes it nice and easy. All I have to clean off is your spreader. So we're gonna get our filler out here. And as you can see, the resin is sort of separated from the filler itself in there, so we're just gonna wanna give that a little stir. In this case, I've just got a galvanized metal rod. I'm just gonna give it a quick stir in there, just to mix that resin back in with the, in this case, fiberglass fibers. And as you can see, it's all nice and uniform in there now. And then I've got a little thing of gun wash handy, because gun wash does a great job with cleaning off filler. So these DeVilbiss bottles are specifically made for it. I think they're like 10 bucks, 12 bucks, something like that. Not going to break the bank. You're definitely going to want to have a pail of gum wash around if you're doing any kind of auto body work for cleaning your mixing sticks, your spreaders, anything like that, as well as your spray guns. So we'll get into that later when we're spraying. So we're going to get out some of our filler. And now for our hardener. So if you haven't used your hardener in a while, it will separate as well. So it's nice to sort of knead the bottle around, work it inside the bottle. That way you're not going to just have a bunch of liquid pouring out. It'll actually be the cream that it's supposed to be. With your filler, you always want to mix about 2% by weight. So I went a little heavy there, but that'll be all right. I'm bad for over hardening for sure, so we're just gonna mix our filler. Oh yeah, I went real heavy on that hardener, so we'll get this on quick. With your actual filler, the fiberglass filler, yeah, I guess a little bit of a concern as well. But with the actual filler, you can run into issues if you over catalyze. You can get like pinholes and stuff like that. So nothing drastic, but just something that can end up with making a little more work for you. And like at the end of the day, Bondo body filler will work. It's just not nearly as nice to sand as a higher quality filler like 3M Gold is what we'll be using. Alright. So just give that a nice tight skim. Don't really need any up near the top of the repair here, so we'll sort of scrape it back. And being a fiberglass filler, as you can see, it gets a little stringy. So we're just going to work it one way. And then scrape it across the other way. That'll sort of work it into any cracks. And then we'll want to spread our actual filler the same way. Sort of trying to work it over the areas where I was doing any significant amount of pulling. And our glass filler doesn't have to be pretty. Like I said, most of it we're going to just DA off. Another point I can make while I'm down here. Always good to cover your other components with a piece of masking paper, which I completely forgot to do. So We'll be sure to do that before our next coat. Also like wheels, tires, things like that. Yeah, I don't really like this Bondo glass filler either, simply because like you can see how stringy it is. If you get a good quality product like Duraglass or something like that, then you'll find it's a lot tighter of a glass, I guess, smaller strands. And this isn't even the long strand Bondo filler either. I got some of that too for other stuff outside of Autobody. Alright, so I got the heat going in the garage here. Well, it's temporarily turned off, but keep it nice and warm in here. Your body filler will harden quicker in heat. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're trying to work in a cold garage, your body filler is not going to warm up. You can use a, not going to warm up. It's not going to harden in a reasonable amount of time. You can use a heat gun to speed that up, but it's better to have a heated workspace to begin with. I'm happy with that. So I still got that. I'm just going to try to wipe off everything left onto our filler board here, and you'll see why these things are great in just a second. So I'll just clean off my spreader here. Beautiful. Personally, I normally like the metal spreaders, but for something like this where there's a lot of curves and whatnot, these plastic ones are actually significantly better. Alright, so this guy's clean. Set that aside. And this is why I love these particular mixing boards, or the style of mixing boards. Boom, ready to go for my next coat. At this point, our fiberglass filler is almost hardened up, so it still has a bit of a tacky feel to it. However, it will sand. So here I'm just using 40 grit on my DA, and then I go around with the 40 grit in some tight areas. I do a little tapping down on high spots, and then I do take my fiber stick and actually dig out some of the filler in some of the nooks and crannies. So we got our layer of fiberglass filler there, sanded down, just with 40 grit on the DA. Came off easily. You might have noticed a few of these areas. I was able to actually just dig it out with my fiber stick. That's because I intentionally left those glossy for that layer because I don't want that sticking in there. With our actual filler, I've gone ahead and scuffed it now. Now we don't want filler over paint. Down here is a little bit of a different issue. These aren't going to see any kind of exposure to elements or anything like that. So that we're not too concerned about, but as you'll see, I'm not going to do my best not to get any filler over any of the paint down here either. However, up here, I will not have any filler or putty over paint. It's not designed to be used that way. It's designed to go over bare metal. You can do it over epoxy primer too. We're not going to get into that today. But ideally, you just want your filler over bare metal. So we got some 3M Platinum Plus filler for this. So we're going to do the same thing. Pop her open. See if the resin has separated or not. One thing I didn't mention in my last little blurb there when we were spreading the fiberglass filler is why I'm using a mixing board and not cardboard. As you can see, the resin hasn't separated, so we're good to just go on this. So the reason I didn't use cardboard, and the reason you shouldn't use cardboard, is the resin or the solvents from the body filler can actually eat into the resins or glue or whatever it is that holds cardboard together, which can get into your filler and cause issues down the road. So yeah, don't use cardboard, just get something proper. I've actually seen guys use small quarter glass pieces as well, which clean up quite nicely and easily. And I love this 3M filler. It spreads really smoothly. You almost don't need a glaze or putty for afterwards. However, I have some just in case we need it. Alright, so again, roughly 2% by weight. And there you can see we have a nice uniform color. There's not any like streaks of blue in there or anything like that, or streaks of yellow. So we're gonna go ahead and spread on here. And you'll see I am gonna bring my filler up over that paint edge. However, that's all gonna get blocked off. If it turns out that's actually a low spot or whatever and it doesn't block off, I will just sand back further and do another skim. However, this just gives me lots of material to work with when I get into my blocking here. And I've gone and forgotten to put a piece of masking paper over that plastic again, so we'll just do our best to not get any on there. There we go. See, it strings off pretty easily, especially when you use a nicer quality stuff like this where it's a little thinner. By working it back and forth, does make it work its way into the cracks a little better, or into your sanding scratches. So just come back this way one more time because it's a little easier to spread this direction. And I'm notorious for playing with it longer than I should. Alright, so that's on there. After we block this, we'll definitely do another test fit of the bumper before we do a secondary skim of filler if we need it, which we probably will because I'm not the best at laying filler. I know some guys who lay it like perfectly smooth and they're awesome at it, but that's not me. This is what happens when you let a painter out of the booth. So I had to step out of the garage there for an hour or so, so this is nice and hard. Usually you can block after like 10-15 minutes kind of thing, depending on how much hardener you put in there. But we're going to go ahead and block. I've got my assortment of blocks here. I will be using all circular sandpaper. It's just all I bought. We'll get into that in the cost thing. I'll make a follow-up cost video on everything, so I'll explain why I only bought the round 6-inch paper, no strips of Velcro paper or anything like that. So, sorry, hook it. Copyright issues, yada yada. So yeah, we're going to block this out. I might have to do another skim, we'll see. Then after we do our initial block here, then we'll toss back on the bumper end just to make sure everything fits. I'm going to start off here with 80 grit paper, and then I'm going to bounce up to 180. Normally I bounce up to 120, but again, that was just a cost factor as far as buying sandpaper. Sandpaper isn't cheap when you're buying in bulk. So I'll just go to 180, it'll be fine for something low grit like this, and then we'll prime over that 180. So I got the bumper bracket back on there. I'm just gonna grab the bumper cover. So when I was test fitting everything with the metal work, I was only putting in 2 screws just to sort of get it closed. This time I've got all the clips in, all the screws, because we want it to get, we want to be able to get it perfect here. And I actually remember to put masking paper on for my last skim of filler there, or my second skim. I'll probably end up doing a skim of glaze after this, but we'll see where we're at here. Alright, so we're pretty close here. I'm going to have to shade down a little bit. Right along there. So we're just a little too much over the edge there. That's probably going to get sanded anyway. And then up in this area here, I'm not quite able to get onto my bracket all the way, so I'm going to have to shave on the inside in there. And then a big point here, and why we do this test fitting like this, is just because of where I did my first 2 skims of filler, my body line sort of got off track a little bit. So my body line should be right about there. So coming down up here to about there. So you can see I got off track a little bit there, but overall we're pretty close. I'm actually really happy with where that's all sitting at this point. So now we'll pop this guy off, do another block on this, following our body line here. I'll show you a little trick for that I'll be using for the primer as well. And then we'll pop this guy back on and see where we're at. So this is a trick I use more commonly during my primer stage, but it does work during filler as well. So all you want to do is take some tape and wrap it along your where you want your body line to follow. And I find if you go a ways past where your repair actually is, then it's easier to visualize what your tape is actually doing. Just go along with that, like so. Perfect, so now that follows a nice even curve all the way along. And the reason it's more helpful to do this during primer is just you're sanding with a less aggressive paper. Like right now, this is probably going to burn through with the 80 grit I'm using pretty quickly, even with 180. However, it gives me a visual reference to go off of, so now it's just a matter of taking your block, then you just sand up to your tape line. And then once you feel you've gone far enough, normally I go a little bit further here, but for the sake of not wasting the whole day making this video, where's my tape? Give her a good wipe off. So obviously I could have come a little further there, but just so you guys get the idea. So once you're done your one side, then you bring your tape to the opposite side, which is usually quite easy to see. You can do this before taking your tape off as well if it makes it easier for you. And sort of come around again on the top side. And don't worry, you'll definitely get to see me do this again with my primer here shortly. And that'll let you move your body line back to where it needs to be. So I thought we were getting close, and unfortunately I just realized our bottom, or our second to bottom mount wasn't clipping in properly. So we're good from this angle. Not so good from this angle, so I do need to pull out where that mount is for the bumper to sit properly. Everywhere else here we're actually in pretty good shape, looking pretty good, but down here just, yeah, it's not gonna fly. So we will adjust that, bring that out, and then go from there. So it's Monday night, guys. I'm trying to keep you updated on what day it is, just to get an idea for the timeline here that I'm working with. So yeah, it's Monday night. Yesterday we realized that this mount here still has to come out almost 3/16 of an inch, give or take. And so what I've come up with, I was having issues with this guy. It was doing a great job if I put the hook in there and started yanking, but it was putting a ton of high spots around the holes, which was a pain to correct. So I've come up with this fancy contraption here. Just got a lag bolt with a couple washers. So we'll see if this even works. It's just we're gonna give it a go anyway. So our lag bolt is in there with one big washer. And we're gonna put on our next big washer here. Toss our nut on the end. I expect this is gonna bend the hell out of this lag bolt, but at the end of the day, it's probably 20-cent bolt, if that, with the nuts and washers. So yeah, just a little something like that, and we'll see if that does the trick for us or not. Well, I think I did see some movement there. So, just because the way it did pull, it sort of just high spotted in or right around, so I'm just going to give that a real light tap there. So this is going to be another annoying session of just putting things on, taking it off again, putting things on, taking it off again, just make sure everything fits. Alright, I think that definitely put us in the right direction, because right now it is sitting right against there as I clipped it in. Before that was in a little bit. As you can see, we're now pushing in a little bit here. And I realize there's a very slight crack in our bumper bracket here. However, it's not going to affect any of our actual tabs that hold the bumper in place. So I might do a little plastic weld on the back side of that guy, but I'm not too worried about it. I don't think it's worth replacing for something like this. That being said, if this were an insurance job or something like that, I would be replacing it for sure. I think it's on there. It's hard to tell though, and it wasn't on there before, but I thought it was. So, and you see I'm going in here with the pick tool. I'm just depressing that clip enough that it releases for me. No, this clip is still way in the wrong spot. All right, we'll pull that guy a little bit more. And as you can see, guys, we're getting real close now. Did one more layer of filler there. And as you can see, we got a couple little pinholes along here. Now, I don't know why, but bodymen seem to like pinholes. I have no idea why, but they just love pinholes. They love sending them to us painters, just pinholes galore. And I think one just rolled up. Yeah, there's a bodyman. Oh, Cam, can you tell us, why do bodymen like pinholes?
To make painters and preppers' lives absolutely miserable.
See, there you go. From the mouth of the horse, I think that's the saying.
Yes.
Thanks, Cam.
You're welcome.
So that was one of my coworkers from the last shop I worked at. Cam's a journeyman that I worked under for the first 3 years of my apprenticeship. So he came by just to check out how my repair was going, and he gave me a few pointers. He helped manipulate the plastic just a little bit there. So thanks, Cam. So yeah, we're at the point I'm going to do a final coat of glaze here just over my filler work. And I'm actually going to leave the bumper on for this one. I'm going to lay my glaze here, and then I'm going to block everything smooth just to make sure we have a really nice fit to everything. It's very close right now, but this will get us that little bit closer. This will scratch the heck out of the bumper here, but this is all getting sanded down with probably do it with 180 anyway, because this whole thing is going to get primed. At least sort of back to at least there. All right, guys, so we're going to do our little coat of glaze here. Dolphin glaze. If you guys are doing an auto body project, this was relatively cheap from my supplier, and it is fantastic stuff. Just flows super easily. Yeah, glaze is essentially a thinned out body filler. I don't know if thinned out is the proper word because it still sands easy. It's not like they just added resin into it, but yeah, wicked stuff. And again, mixing at about a 2% ratio. This might not have been quite enough to do a skim over everything, but I'll see where we're at. Yeah, should have mixed more. Should have mixed a little bit more. So as you can see, I'm going a little bit over that gap with the bumper. And before that hardens, I'm just gonna really quickly mix up a little more here. Alright, so now we're going to give our glaze a block with 180. We're going to step it up a little bit here. And again, I'm using really small blocks on this, but this isn't a huge surface area. I've seen these style yellow blocks really abused on like big flat panels, like say the middle of a door, where they definitely shouldn't be used because so they're not nearly rigid enough for a large flat panel. But here we've got curves going this way, you got curves going this way, you got a curve going this way, curves down here. So like none of this area is actually flat. This all has curves to it. So in that case, it's fine to use something like this. Even using a flat block here wouldn't be ideal. So yeah, we're using this guy, using my taco block. I love this thing. And then where's my last one? Just a Durablock round block. Obviously this is the Velcro, or the, sorry, Hook It sandpaper, not the Stick It, which works better for these. You can get these with Hook It, but in this case, I'm just wrapping it around. Works perfectly fine that way too. I could have gone a little heavier on the hardener. She's really gumming up, so we'll give this a few more minutes to cure and then we'll come back to it. So I'm going to cut that video off there today, guys, just because all the filler work is now done. A couple things I noticed when I was going through and editing the video. One, when I was mixing my filler, it was down here. You guys couldn't see it, unfortunately. I thought I was on camera, but I wasn't. I'm sure there's other good filler videos on how to mix filler on YouTube. Just don't do it on cardboard. Otherwise, I'll try to make one in the future for you guys there. Another thing, when I was blocking my filler, I didn't really show or explain how I was doing it. So we'll pretend this is my foam block. I was always cross-hatching. So I go one way at about 30 to 45 degrees, then the other way between 30 and 45 degrees. And that's going to ensure that you hit everything at a nice angle to make it all flat and uniform. If you just go straight up and down or straight side to side, you're not going to make the block work like it's supposed to and make everything uniform. Then a big shout out to my old coworker Cam, who came by, gave me a quick hand there. He was giving me a few pointers all the way through. He's taught me a lot of stuff over the years, so I really appreciate him coming by. I'll throw his info down in the description, his YouTube and his Instagram. Be sure to check him out. He's got some interesting stuff as well. Thank you so much for joining me again today, guys. I really appreciate everyone who views my videos. I hope these are helpful to you DIY guys who want to try this at home and just aren't familiar with the processes. Be sure to hit that like button down below if you enjoyed the video, and be sure to subscribe if you want to see my future videos. I should be putting out my next one within the next week or two. That'll be our primer work. Thanks again, guys. See you next time.